Hi, welcome. This is the caddyinfo.com Cadillac Chat. We do these usually on Thursday nights. Now we've been doing them on Wednesday nights lately because I ended up with a volunteer thing that I'm doing on Thursday nights. We get together and we talk about Cadillacs and automotive topics. If you ever want to participate in the chat, what you do is circle me on Google Plus, contact me on caddyinfo.com. IM me, let me know that you want to participate, and I'll help you figure out how to do that. I have with me tonight KHE from the forums.
Hi.
Welcome. And we have Texas Jim from the forums.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey there, Jim. Good to have you again. We may have Cadillac Jim join us. He may have already turned in for the evening. If we don't, the switch from Thursdays to Wednesdays, we haven't got him on Wednesdays yet, but hopefully we will soon. We could have Tim Carroll from Carroll Cadillac drop in. He keeps intending to drop in. We may have our friend Vinny join us. I did get a note from Cool Cat Cadillac that they could not join us. And so I appreciate the thought, and please do try and join us one night when you are available. Cool Cadillac Cat, sorry if I mangled that. Cool Cadillac Cat, please do join us one evening if you are available and your connection allows. Big news today, Cadillac announced that the new large luxury car has been named, and can you guess what the name is?
Some sort of alphabet soup numerical combination, probably.
Perfect. Your intuition is correct. They have named the new car the CT6. Charlie Tango, the CT6. The CT6. And they said they're going to rename the entire line. As each new car comes out, it will be named in accordance with the new naming plan. So the CT6, CT meaning car.
Or
CT
Cadillac.
means sedan. And 6 means the top of the line. So then you have 5 slots available underneath the 6. So the CT6 in my mind is like a BMW 6 Series, right? And then, so the current CTS is probably a CT5 because it matches up with the BMW 5 Series. And the ATS would be a CT3. The ELR would be a CT2i.
Why not E?
So considering the fact that ELR is $70,000, I hate to think what the price of this new CT6 is going to be.
Yeah, I'm expecting it's going to be 100 to 125. That's my bet.
Then no wonder why they don't sell any of them.
No, they don't mind if they can't sell me one at $100,000. They're looking for the people who want to spend $100,000 on cars. So this Hugh Ellinghaus has been very clear that he doesn't care if he loses all the current Cadillac customers. He's not shopping for them. He's shopping for people that want to spend $70,000 on a CTS and $100,000 on a CT6. So this cashes in on the CTS brand again, that they felt like they had good brand recognition in the CTS brand, so CT6. Now, it also should make it really clear that if you go into a Cadillac dealer and they have a CT1 and the CT2 costs a little bit more and the CT4 costs a little bit more and the CT6 costs the most, that's easy to figure out, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Except you're going to have those normal overlaps where a fully loaded CT5 costs as much as a standard model CT6. But I mean, that's normal. That's a regular problem. In general, the CT6 will cost more than the CT5, will cost more than the CT3. Now, would you
go ahead?
Would you go BMW all the way and rename the coupes CT on the even numbers? So the CTS sedan would be a CT3. I'm sorry, the ATS sedan would be a CT3, and the ATS coupe would be a CT4.
I wouldn't copy anything BMW does. That's just
no.
Follow.
No, what did you say the T stood for?
They're saying CT is going to be the designation for all the cars. So let's say SRX is going to become an SR, SR6, SR3, and SR1. They haven't said, but they're saying when new models come out, they will be renamed in order to match up with this sequence. And the CT means car, and the 6 means the top of the line. And so if the SRX, if they keep the SR from the SRX, then the current SRX would be an SR4 or SR3 or SR5, and a bigger SRX would be an SR6, and a smaller SRX would be an SR1 or an SR3.
I just got used to the current naming structure. Now they changed it again.
Well, it has been since, well, the current naming structure started, gosh, in 2000. No, that in 1995, 1993 when they, no, 1992. When would they have started with the STS?
92 is when the Seville STS came out.
Yeah.
Well, they had a Seville STS. It was prior to that, but that's when they really started doing it. And then the regular base Seville was just a Seville. And then in 94, they call it a Seville SLS and a Seville STS. That's when that started.
So to be fair, you've had 22 years to get used to the current naming structure. So it's about time to go to a new naming structure, right? And the current names are hopelessly lost in the dark. I mean, they don't use them to actually mean what they started off as. You know, as by example, they named the ELR. RU was standing for Roadster when it was an XLR, but the ELR is not a Roadster. Roadster is a convertible. And so the ELR should be named ELX, Eldorado Luxury Experimental, if you were really naming things. And the SRX should not have been, but in the SRX they use X to mean, if X is in the third place, it means crossover. If X is in the first place, it means experimental, which doesn't even make good sense, right? So I'm okay with, but so I think the C will stand for Cadillac and the T will stand for touring, and the CT is a car, and then 6 is the top line, Cadillac Touring 6, Cadillac Touring 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This leaves plenty of room to come out with a CT2 and a CT1 below the CTS, and they are threatening to do that. That U says that's one of, Ellinghaus says that's one of the things on his radar, is he'd like a smaller than ATS, a smaller car than the ATS to offer, still rear-wheel drive, but to compete with the front end of the market that the other luxury guys are doing.
So he realizes these cars, these small, really small rear-wheel drive cars, they got to be driven in northern climates in the wintertime.
Yeah, well, you just offer them all-wheel drive also, right? But sure. after all the years of grief that Cadillac got for being the only front-wheel drive luxury model, you know, they now want to have a few years and offering the only rear-wheel drive luxury car in the 1 Series range. Now, BMW had a really hard time with the 1 Series and couldn't sell the darn things and gave up on them. So, but we didn't learn anything from that. So there is a new ELR coming. They're going to skip next year for the ELR because they have too many 14s on the lot. And the next model is going to come in January 15, which will make it a 16 model. So there's going to be no 2015 ELRs. There's 2014 ELRs still available in 15, and there's some engineering changes coming from the ELR for 2016, which is all they said. There's engineering changes. Now we thought that the next iteration of the Voltec platform is coming on the Volt and probably therefore on the ELR, which might give it should make it less expensive to manufacture and perhaps give it more range. Now in the ELR, would you choose to keep the $75,000 price tag and raise the range to 60 miles, or would you choose to keep the same 35-mile range and lower the price by $5,000? Texas Jim, what do you think? Lower the price, same range, or increase the range, same price?
Okay, the cost of them now are what, close to 70?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say their cost is anywhere near that, but they're charging 75 for them.
No, that's what I meant. If you went to buy one,
Yeah,
it's
if you
going to
went to buy
cost
one,
you
you
70
might
or
could get it.
75.
If you went to buy one today, you might could get it for 50 or less. But the sticker
But
on it says
sticker,
76. Yeah,
okay,
75 or
sticker
76.
76.
So
If
would
you
you
keep the
rather?
same range, and lower the price 5,000, that's going to help. Uh, I was trying to think of a real small example. If I was trying to water my yard and the neighbor's dog walked across it and used the tree, that's about how much it'll help sales.
You don't think that's the winning recipe, huh? So
And I've got a big yard, so the dog on the tree ain't going to help much.
so if I kept the same price but extended the range, would that be a seller for you?
I would rather have if it's okay at 75,000. At 75,000, extending the range a little bit would be better than keeping the same range and lowering it 5. If I was in the market for an electric, I would be more apt to lean towards the extended range, because if it had a 60 or 70 mile range, especially if it was 70, see, I could drive from here to Dallas and back without having to use gasoline. With a 35-mile range, I can't even drive across town and back to my son's house, without the engine running.
Right, right. And people take great pride in running their car for months with no gas, without adding gas.
Exactly.
Kevin, what would you do? Would you lower the price with the?
I look at that. I can buy one hell of a lot of gasoline for the difference and still be money ahead. So I myself, I couldn't see buying either.
Can't even talk about it, huh?
It blows away how somebody will spend. Well, I'm going to spend $75,000 so I don't have to use gasoline. It's like, well, okay, I'll buy a. Okay, I bought a $32,000 Chevy Silverado 4-drive pickup, and I'm still money ahead for the life of the vehicle than the guy that buys that electric car. But I hope he feels good about himself.
But if I had money, if I was still working, making money like I was, before I had to quit, if I was still working and making money, and if I was thinking about the electric car, the extended range would be a lot more valuable to me than $5,000 off. Because the $5,000 off of the 75,000 is peanuts. It just don't matter.
Well, yeah, if you're going to spend that kind of money on a car, yeah, $5,000 is nothing. But yeah, I'm still working, but I don't make enough money to buy one of those.
And the 5,000 off, like I say, that would just be peanuts. That's it just wouldn't appeal to me at all. In fact, it might even alienate me just a tiny bit, because they're throwing 5,000 on the hood and say, hey, look, this was great at 75, and now we'll let you have it at 70. Well, when you spend that kind of money, the difference between 70 and 75 don't matter.
And I see our friend Vinny had indicated that he could join us. Vinny, I sent you another invite, so hopefully you'll catch it.
There he is.
Good evening.
That's
Good
what you have to
evening.
do is mention him and he shows up.
Uh-huh.
Let me just plug in my headphones here and I'll be in business.
Good, good.
You guys called and my phone rang and my computer rang and all kinds of stuff happened all at the same time.
Perfect.
So something's working. All right, there we go.
Vinny, we were just dizzy over the Cadillac announced today the name for the new big sedan.
Oh, really? I didn't hear it.
Yeah, what was your guess?
I forgot. Eldorado.
The CT6.
The CT6. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly the reaction I got from the other two guys.
Yeah, yes. His reaction was about like mine.
Yeah, the CT6. What they're saying is this is the new Cadillac nomenclature. The CT means Cadillac sedan or coupe, perhaps, and the 6 means top of the line. So I'm guessing that the current CTS, when it gets redesigned, will become the CT5, and the ATS will become the CT3.
Okay. Interesting.
They didn't say that. All they said was the new car, the new large car that we were referring to as the LTS, is going to be called the CT6. All the other Cadillacs are going to be renamed, but they will not be renamed until they are each redesigned.
Okay.
So when you get the next car out, it will fit in this new naming scheme.
So when they do a major redesign of the CTS, then it'll be a 4 or a 5 or whatever. And
Yeah.
the XTS is going to be discontinued. Is that right?
Or the XTS would become the CT6, perhaps. But yeah, before they've said the XTS was one and done, meaning they're not having another XTS after this, because now that as the CT6 arrives to the market, the XTS is not needed. But the new LaCrosse is in redesign right now, and they have sold some XTSs, and with the ATS not selling as well as they had hoped, that I would be hesitant to throw away any sales. And the XTS has to be an inexpensive model to produce because it comes right off the LaCrosse.
I don't see many of those XTSs at all on the road.
Yeah, I have seen some XTSs around here, and with it being front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, it's natural for a climate with weather. But we don't know what the other cars are going to be called. The only one we know is the CT6 is the new large Cadillac.
Is this the first time Cadillac's had a number involved in a name like that? I'm trying to think back.
I don't
the 60
remember
special.
a number.
The 60 special, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes they would spell that out in script, and sometimes it would be 60S. And so
I think when they were making the limos, they were not spelling it out.
yes, but the traditional Cadillacs were series like that: Series 70, Series 75, Series 60, and that would have been much more comfortable to me if they'd gone back to that and said, we're going to name the new large car the Series 75, and we're going to rename the ATS the Series 30 and the.
Well, when I hear Series 75, I think of a limousine, Fleet 75 Z. So I wouldn't. But anyway.
Yes, I appreciate that. I think that's right. That the 75s were often the limousines and they were the top of the line. But at that time, the top of the line was to have a driven car, right? And now so few people have chauffeurs that now the top of the line would still be self-driven or even autonomous in the next generation. We'll go back to having chauffeurs with nobody driving.
I hate to think about self-driving cars, but anyway.
But it also leaves them some top room, so they could come out with a CT7 that's even more expensive and elegant than the CT6, right?
Yes.
So there's some nice things.
count all the numbers all the way up as far high as you want, too.
Where are they getting the number 6 from?
That's what they named it. I think that they're saying the CT6. They're saying the CT6 because it's the top of the line. So I'm thinking of it as this, like the 6 Series BMW. The CT6 would compete with the 6 Series BMW.
But the 6 Series BMW is not the top of the line. The 7 is.
Yeah, I was going to just say that because, yeah, isn't the 700 series? Because
the 7 Series BMW is the top of the line.
I understand. I'm just saying that's the. They didn't name it CT7, unfortunately. They named it CT6.
Oh, yeah, I get it. I just wonder about that.
Now the
CT8.
Mercedes, in the Mercedes, the 6, the 600, that's the big, that's the big tank.
Yes, but their most expensive one is the S Series, right?
I don't know.
So,
I don't follow Mercedes. So, yeah, okay.
So I don't know perfectly what they're, but this is what we're doing is they named it CT6, and that's going to continue the brand's elevation and global growth. And then as each new car comes out, it'll be renamed.
So by the time you're ready to trade in your wife's ATS, you can buy a Cadillac R2D2.
Oh, there you go.
Or a C3PO.
Maybe. And actually, I still think it'll be named the CT3 and the CT4. What I was asking the other guys is, would you take the ATS, if the ATS ends up being renamed CT3, which we don't know, it may be renamed AT3 for goodness sake, but if it gets renamed CT3, would you name the coupe the CT4, or would you have it be the CT3 coupe?
I think it would need to be the CT3 coupe.
That's what I would do too, but BMW does the other way, where they named the 400 as the coupe version of the 300. And to be fair, the numbers indicate where it stands in the line, right? How expensive it is. And so the coupe's a little more expensive than the sedan, so it makes sense for it to be one number higher.
In that case, yeah, it should be a different number.
But then we'll have a really confusing situation where the convertible version of the 5 could be a 7, right? What is it?
I'm an engineer. I'm not a marketing person.
It can't be a 6 because they've already got a 6.
So what would they rename the Escalade? Will that be a 9?
So the Escalade's got to have a truck name. It's never gone by a 3-letter name. So maybe they'll name it ET6 because the Escalade's the top of the line for the trucks.
So
or maybe it'll go to SR and it'll become the SR6 after the SRX, and the SRX can be the SR3. And then the new small SRX can be the SR1. But Escalade has a ton of value in the market. And
yeah,
so
in my opinion, if they change the name of the Escalade, they're going to kill it.
Now the Escalades have used 3-letter names. I apologize because they've been Escalade EXT, right?
EXT.
Well, that just means the extended.
I know, but they could actually rename it EX6. Escalade.
No, all of them are not extended. All of them are not EX anything.
Right. You got the
Well, they don't make the extended one anymore. So I don't know what they're going to do with the Escalade. I think that they will rename it a number letter code when they redesign it. But they just redesigned Escalade, so it's good for another 5 years.
But the actual name Escalade carries a lot of weight.
Oh yeah, I think it has great market value. But who knows, the hip-hop stars may prefer, if they name it something that's easy to rhyme with, they may prefer the 3-letter name.
But if they rename it and take the Escalade name away, Okay, and you go out next weekend and buy one, and it's called ABC or whatever they decide to name it, and you come back home and call your friends, hey, I just dropped 90 grand on a new ABC. And they say, what the hell is that?
Oh, no, they would know. They would know because it's in the latest hip hop
No,
video.
they wouldn't know because 90% of the people can't tell you the difference when you drive down the street between you know, they have trouble telling the difference between a Chevrolet and a Cadillac. They really do. It's amazing how.
But they can pick out an Escalade. Everybody knows what the Escalade looks like.
They'll know it when they see it, but they won't know what that name means.
It's got a great big crest on the front.
But when you're telling someone, yeah, I just dropped 90,000 on a new truck. Well, what'd you get? Oh, I got an XYZ or
you had that same problem in 2000 when they first created the Escalade name, right?
No.
Nook or Crook.
It had instant. The Escalade had almost instant name recognition.
Yes, but not when they created it. You still would have had that same problem in the first year, right?
When they created that vehicle, they had to rush that thing to the market because Lincoln was, and everybody was talking, oh, it's just a Chevy Tahoe with a Cadillac emblem on it, and it didn't gain fame until they redid it in, I think, 2002.
Yes.
When they really made it a Cadillac, that's when it took off. But in the first couple of years, it flopped.
Well, it was when it started getting hit with the musicians and the hip hop crowd and so on, then that it solidified its stature. But I would have kept the long names myself. I would have named the new car the 60 Special or the LaSalle or the something. But that ship has sailed. That ship has sailed. They didn't ask me to lead Cadillac. They asked you, Ellinghouse, to lead Cadillac. And we're going to Audi-like names, and the CT6 is the new Audi Cadillac. So we're not trying to be, or Nissan-like names. And so here we are, CT6, the new luxury Cadillac.
Well,
Vinny just can't believe it.
Yeah, I'm in shock.
We'll just see what happens.
And we're back to Hamtramck. How do you guys feel about Hamtramck? Any pluses or minuses from seeing Cadillac move the new luxury car back to Hamtramck?
I don't see a problem with that. If they have a quality assembly line, right. I mean a really quality assembly line.
Oh, they put some money in with it, and so I think they're rebuilding their latest concepts on assembly lines at Hamtramck, and so that part. But, Hamtramck kind of got there was GM's hope in the at first, and it was going to be their first big automated robot line, and they never really got their quality right where they needed it, or they didn't for years at least. And so, but Hamtramck, of course, was the home of Cadillac for a long time before Lansing Grand River was established. And the ELR still comes from there, so in the hundreds. So we have a new ELR coming. We talked about that a little bit. We have the new ELR coming. There's no 2015 ELR. They're skipping. The next generation's coming in January of 15, so it'll be a 16 model, and we don't know what that'll mean.
So I'll probably have that at the auto show too in New York. January
should
15. Yeah.
We should hear more about it. The big thing we want to hear about is the ATS-V. The ATS-V is supposed to make the New York show, right?
Yep. That's what I read the other day.
They're showing it at the Los Angeles show or the New York show, but I was thinking it was the New York show. And Vinny's got the headquarters of Cadillac there in New York. Did they invite you over for the opening, Vinny?
No, I don't think they opened yet. But
okay.
I'm sure I'll get an invite when they come.
So check your spam filter. don't miss that because we want to. That way you can ask them, what are we going to lose the Escalade name, or
Maybe they're
what's
moving.
going to happen there?
Maybe they're moving to New York to get my opinion.
Yeah, that's it.
That's one way of doing it, I guess.
Now, if Cadillac becomes truly autonomous within GM, what do you think that will mean for Cadillac?
I think it might be good. It'll give them more latitude and more freedom to innovate. Cadillac was known for innovation for years and years and years. It was the cutting edge. You know, if you wanted the latest gadgets and gizmos and whatever,
Right.
you had to get a Cadillac. You couldn't get it. You couldn't get it in a Pontiac. You couldn't get it in an Oldsmobile. You couldn't
At
get
least,
it on a Chevrolet.
at least not right away. It was always like 3 or 4 years later before it was available in a Buick or an Oldsmobile or whatever.
But again, the Cadillac was the standard. Everything else tried to emulate or imitate the Cadillac. And if by moving and if they can become more autonomous and not have the heavy corporate hand of GM holding them down, maybe they can get some engineers in there and start innovating again and come back to be the standard of the world. That's what Cadillac was known as for years and years and years. The standard of the world. Every other car company in the world tried to emulate, imitate, copy, whatever you want to say, things that Cadillac came out with. Now, they were also pretty good at keeping things under wraps until they were ready to release it. So then it would take the other companies a couple of years to reverse engineer it or to design whatever that particular thing happened to be. It would take the other car companies a couple of years to design one to come out on their car. By that time, it was well known that Cadillac had this XYZ gizmo. And then later, when Mercedes or Lincoln or whoever came out with it, at the same time, everybody knew that they copied that from Cadillac. The Cadillac had it first.
Do you think that could still be done with the days of the internet, though?
Yes.
Keeping things under wraps that well?
Well, they've certainly kept the CT6. They showed it at the show, but we have not seen as much as I would have expected to have seen at this point for a car that's coming out next year, right?
Right.
So I will say that they've done a decent job of keeping things close to their vest lately. Although sometimes that's a disappointment too, that I felt like the ELR was not as radically different from the Volt as I would have expected for the long development cycle and quiet period we heard from the ELR. That I was glad when it showed up. But just putting 20-inch wheels and a nice interior in a Volt should not have taken 3 years.
Correct.
True.
You know, the 3 years made sense because they were expanding the Voltec powertrain. We were going to get a different engine. We were going to get more battery. We were going to have additional range. And then when they showed up, it didn't have any of that. The XES made sense because we were going to get a longer wheelbase. And then when it showed up, it didn't have a longer wheelbase. It had the same wheelbase as the little Cross series. And so I don't mind the delay. Whoops, we lost Kevin. I don't mind that.
I actually lost video with you guys too. I can't see you. I can only see myself.
Oh, well, I can hear you and I can see you, and
as long as it's recording on your end.
Kevin back. Yeah, it's up on my end.
Okay.
I do want to mention our friends over at Crest Cadillac are moving from their facility in Plano to a brand new modern facility in Frisco. And they also so they're going to be kind of on the west of Northwest Highway near Stonebriar Mall. And they also asked me to mention that they are expanding to a Nissan dealership. So they're going to have their Infiniti dealership, the Cadillac dealership, and a Nissan dealership all right there together on the northwest corner and across from Stonebriar Mall in Frisco. And they're one of our sponsors on caddyinfo.com. The other thing, I was over there chatting with them the other day, and I said, please, as you move from this facility to the next facility, anything that you have that says Cadillac on it, don't throw it away, because I know a ton of people that would love to have, a big Cadillac emblem on their garage wall and so on. And they said,
Oh yeah.
why didn't you tell us that last week?
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, we just cleared out a storeroom where we threw away stuff that made us cry. But they did get the message, and they get new posters, new things every week. So I think that could be something that we'll be able to say, we'll add some more giveaways or some more easy quizzes, or we'll do some things here on the video where if people ask if I get the chat enabled and people ask questions, then we'll send them a poster. And I did that with one lady where she posted a thing on Twitter where she said she was unhappy with the Cadillac had promised her car out of the shop one day and it didn't come that day or something, and I sent her a Cadillac hat to help make up for it. And I think all the way through she kept waiting for, is this a scam? Is this why are you doing this? But it was just that, it was just trying to help out with. Sometimes I'll watch and buy hats so that we have and things so that we have them as giveaways on the site. And I had some available, and she was unhappy, so I sent her one. And she sent me back a picture of her wearing the hat, and she actually came on chat one night and chatted with us for a minute, but I never have lured her back. So if you're out there listening, come back and chat. And hopefully, hey, Kevin, we see you. Or we see Kevin's computer and Kevin's wandered off.
See Kevin's wall.
Yes, Kevin's wall is starring in tonight's chat.
Which could use a nice little Cadillac banner.
I'm in the middle of something. Let me call you back about 9:30. All right. Bye.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, we'll be off quicker than that, Kevin, because we're past our 30-minute limit already. Let me thank each of you guys for being on with us tonight. Vinny's with us from Cadillac Country Club or caddychat.com. Vinny, any last words of wisdom for us?
No, I just can't wait to read up on this breaking news that you gave me.
This breaking news. Now you got to go write an editorial. There's a whole article there on what you would have done and how would you name the Escalade. What are you going to do with the SRX? How do you do?
You know what's funny? If I was to write an article on this and put it on Cadillac Country Club, I get no response at all whatsoever.
Nobody care?
No, none of my older guys. They pretty much stopped at the DTS, and if anything, they're stocking up on 2 DTSs so that they have a Cadillac for the rest of their life.
I know a guy like that. My friend Platinum Jim's like that.
yeah, me too.
Kevin, any last words for us? KHE from caddyinfo.com.
No, we're ending already?
We're ending already. We're trying to hold these to 30 minutes. We're running 39 at the moment.
Okay.
The average. The average internet YouTube mind is good for 3 minutes. And so we give you 10 times as much as you need at 30 minutes. The KHE, of course, is a air conditioning expert and handles a lot of the air conditioning related questions that we get on the site. Texas Jim, thank you for being on tonight.
Not a problem. Always enjoy it. And I'm
Always
not an
good to see
expert.
you.
I'm not an expert at anything.
That makes 2 of us.
Oh, sure you are, Jim. You're an expert in driving fast.
And driving fast, and whatever happens in your Cadillac, Jim has had that happen before and can tell you how he fixed it.
Probably.
Which is valuable. Oh, Vinny,
well, I've only been driving them since, I bought my first new one in 1980. So that's 80, that's a little over almost 35 years.
I got a note today from a fellow who said his late mom and dad's 76 sedan DeVille d'Elegance was sitting in the garage, and he needed help in getting it moved along to a happy new home. And so I sent him back and said I'd be happy to post on details on Caddy Info or if it needed work we could get it up to Carroll Custom Cadillac and get it seen about and so on. But yeah, if I had a slot in the garage, I would make him an offer on it. But my garage is still full.
Where is he? Down by you in Texas?
Yeah. Yep,
yeah, if it was a Fleetwood Brougham, I'd be interested in it.
A Fleetwood man. It's got to be.
Yeah, well, in that era, I didn't care for that third window behind the back door that they put in those Sedanvilles there in '75 and '76. That just, I didn't care for that. But the Fleetwoods didn't have that.
Well, there you go. Very specific. I still think the 500. There's so much aftermarket for it that you could do a nice build up of the 500 and make it a goer.
Does the 76 have the 500?
Yeah.
Yeah. All the way across the line.
Yeah, you get rid of that smog intake and that smog cam and go back to like a 1970 with the parts were there, and then you'd have something that would really fly.
Well, what you do is you have it shipped over to the guys at the Cadillac restoration and have them redo it, or I'd send it over to Tim and let him pull the engine and rebuild it for me. Okay, thanks, guys.
It might not need it.
Well, it might not need it unless you want it to have 500 horsepower, and then it needs it.
Well, yeah, that's different.
I've got a friend that used to have he bought a 1975 Corvette to restore, and I tried to tell him, let's work that in. That was the doggiest of dogs at Corvettes, and he didn't want to do that, and we raced. It's like, okay, it's statute of limitations to run out, but this was probably 10 years ago. By my Fleetwood Brougham waxed him.
Wow.
He was not happy.
With the 3-speed auto.
Yeah.
All right, so CT6, spread the word. Exciting new happenings at Cadillac. Cadillac becoming more autonomous, moving to New York. You, Ellinghaus, and the band. So you and the boys. So we'll see. We'll see what new news. Now we got to rename SRX. We got to rename ATS, DTS, Escalade, and XCS and fit it in there somehow. The ELR, who knows?
And Vinny's going to go to the New York Auto Show and take about 1 million pictures and post them all to the forum.
Of the V series. Well, yeah, we're really listening for the ATS-V, and if it has to get by with 430 horsepower, or they're going to bring us a 475 horsepower high-tune version, which is what I've been hoping. All right, have a good night, guys.
Okay,
I'm going to hit stop broadcast. Hold on.